Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, guys, we are back. Thank you, Mr. Producer. I am joined by the one and only, I love her show. It is Mary D, everybody. Mary D, how are you today?
Fantastic. So good to see you. So good to be here.
I love your background. Yeah, it looks so like you're in nature. You're comfortable, very cozy, but yet
Yes.
still, if I know you well enough, I'm sure you got like 50 gigs going on, and you got speaking events. What is new in the world of Mary D?
Thank you. Well, I'll say this: the space that we're in is. We get to design that, right? And so that's been a season of my life actually recently, is I actually went through a redesign in like everything, bedroom, living room, you name the space. And this is one of my favorite rooms to work in because it has the serenity of, I can see the outside, the hummingbirds come show up. I see the sunlight coming in, and this space is really comfortable. It's comfortable to do a call. It's comfortable to speak to clients. It's comfortable to just work in. And I think that that's creating harmony in our life. And part of my my vision for my future is, what can I say more of? And that's, I could say more yes to me, but also what do I have to say no to in order to be able to say more yes to me?
Good.
And so part of that is, I'm going to say no to a cubicle. I'm going to say no to a stagnant desk that doesn't feel good for me or feel like it's creative for me. I'm going to say no to spaces that feel unfulfilling for me, and step into more spaces that feel really good for me. So that's part of it for sure.
Well, thanks for that. And saying no for someone like yourself, who's so successful, who does so many things, and is used to doing so many different things, have so many different clients, do so many speaking gigs. Do you think it might be a little tough to when it comes down to it, to have that space where you're saying no, or is it going to be a challenge, you think?
Absolutely. It was initially a challenge. And I think that is part of learning about getting into the flow of what you want, right? And again, I'm about, how do we design this in the most intentional way that feels really good? For me, it's not in a hustle mode. And I did that for years, Casey. I was in the hustle. I said yes to everything, and I ran myself ragged saying yes to everything. And it was like, okay, how do I reset my thinking on this? Because I don't like having to be in this hustle. And some people love it. Some people have the energy for it, and they're moving all the time. Good for them.
Right.
Hustle away, because it's what fuels you and it makes you feel good. It fills up your soul. But the hustle for me does not fill my soul. I like a lot more white space. White space, so people like their calendar really full. I'm like, no, I don't want it super full. Like, I want these white spaces on my calendar where I can go ground in the grass, or I can go walk my dog, or I can just relax for a minute and have a nice cup of tea, whatever it is.
You love life so much.
I do love life.
Yeah.
I do. And I want to keep leaning into loving life. And that's part of it. I was like, the hustle is not for me. And so, can I maintain my same lifestyle, finances, love for my clients without the hustle? And that came by saying, by design, yes, I can. By intention, yes, I can. There are people who do it. They're around. So clearly, I'm not the only outlier here. People can do this. So how do I do this? And so I set myself up very intentionally. I was like, I'm going to design my packages with my clients in a way that serves my schedule and serves my lifestyle and serves the finances that I want to have in my life. And so doing that, really, the universe showed up for me, Casey. It really did.
It's awesome, because I heard that things now, they've always been good, but now you and your clients are just so cohesive, and are really just having the most productive and the greatest relationship with your clients right now.
Absolutely. I've got everyone that was working with me last year renewed again. And that felt really good. I was like, oh, how beautiful is
That's
this?
the proof right there. Come on.
That's the proof. That's right. And just leaning in and going, the value is there, and it feels good. And it feels good for me because I can still travel when I want to, but also, again, reset my space in a way that feels good. And also, learning to say no, because the opportunities don't stop showing up. They keep showing up. But now I get to really lean in and go, do I really want to say yes to one more client? Do I really want to say yes to one more event, one more whatever, right? And that's where I have to make that choice, because I get to control how much white space is on my calendar. So what am I filling it up with? Am I filling it up? If I'm filling it up with lunches with people I love, or outings with people I love, or a conversation with people I love, then that's what I want that white space to be there for. I don't want it filled up with busy work or another networking opportunity or another, you name it. Right. So
I could see. Do you think that if people don't learn how to say no, could that lead to burnout maybe?
oh my gosh, leads to so much burnout. And on top of
You've
that,
seen it, I'm
part of it
sure,
is,
right?
yes. And it actually, I literally was just having a call with a client this morning, and we were talking about this exact subject. So it's really timely today, because he said to me, hey, I got this feeling when I was talking to this potential client that she might not be right for us. She seemed like a hot mess. Like she'd tried many things before and it hadn't worked, but she, for some reason, thought we would. He goes, she went away, didn't do business with us. And I thought, oh, I'm off the hook. He goes, but she showed up 2 months later and now she was ready to do the deal.
Oh.
He goes, and I said, did you do it? He goes, I did. And I go, and he goes, she has sent me like 5 messages this morning. My inbox has got at least 3 from her there. My Slack has 2. He's like, it's more than I've received from all of my clients at once. And he's like, and it's not going well.
Okay.
And I said, well, what did that teach you? And he said, I probably should have just gone with my gut, which said she's really not the right fit. I'm like, but why did you do it? He says, well, at the time I was feeling disempowered. Like, how do I say no to a client? And I said, you say no to the wrong clients so that when the right ones show up, you have a lot of space to give them and welcome them in. And that was really the lesson that we talked about how to learn to say no and not to make decisions from this disempowering place or this place of limiting beliefs, and instead lean into the abundance and prosperity that you want. Like, what kind of customers do you want? So let's say no to the ones we don't, so that when the ones we do want show up, we can be like, yes, and I have time to talk to you, and I'm in a space to talk to you. I'm not going to rush you. You don't have to, we're going to do this together, and it's going to feel really good. And that was such a part of it.
And doesn't that increase your cachet, increase the demand that you have such a standard of a client. Not anybody can come in and push their negativity and come and work with you. You're making that choice of picking.
That's right.
And it's making everything look and feel a lot better, I would think.
That's right. I told him, from here on out, you have to think about your customers, that you have to think about yourself as a matchmaker, and your customers, you're figuring out if they're the right match for you and your business.
Okay.
Right. And so we're dating. We're dating when we're on a discovery call. We're dating when they show up at our door. But we got to look for the red flags. And if they exist and there's too many of them, or they're things that you're like, is this a growth opportunity or is this just a hot mess? You've got to be able to identify the hot mess and go, I'm going to pass on this.
Yeah. Great.
Right.
Point.
Because a better date's going to come along. And that's who we want to be aligned with. We want to be aligned with those partners that feel good to work with, and that we know we can help. We know are going to be on the same page. And that's such a big part of it.
And Mary D, I got right into things, but just in case people never saw your show before, can you just give us a little refresher about what you do, and about your speaking gigs? I mean, you're in such demand to go speak in front of and events, and people want you to speak to their companies and the CEOs. And well, let me give it to you. If someone met you on the street, who is Mary D, and what does she do? That's from Kindergarten Cop, I think, that movie.
What does she do? I love that. I love that. Well, to answer that question, my name is Mary D, and if you guys want to find me, it's just marydee.com. That's MARYDEE.com. On social media, you can find me at the Mary D. I also make that very easy. It's my name across the board, short and sweet. But what I do is I help CEOs not be assholes. That's the best way that I can. That's really the easiest thing I can tell you guys. It's how not to be an asshole CEO. If that's you and that's what you need, that's the person that should come see me. Really helping with leadership, really helping those first time CEOs that are sitting in a. When I say first time CEOs, maybe you've been a CEO, you've tried to open your business a couple times, but now you actually have a business and you're like, holy cow, we're making revenue, we're growing big in the world, I have to have a team of more than 5 people. Then you're getting serious, right? You're running a serious business. And so when that happens, sometimes people go, I don't know what to do next. I don't know how to grow this. I don't know what my future should look like because I've never been here before. So you would come see me and we would have a conversation around alignment and core values first and foremost. And then from there, your vision and your goals and dreams. And then we figure out the best strategy to get you there and the team that will get you there as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Mary. Now, Mary, when you were making the changes to get that white space that you were talking about, what were some of the first things that you did? I know it might sound simplistic, but were you taking baby steps? Were you saying no to a gas station that has higher prices, and say no on that? I mean, something small. That's not a great example, but something small to get to where you are now, where you have that white space and you can say no, and you know the importance of saying no. How did you start it?
So here's the one thing that I think may resonate with a lot of people. If any of you are on the kind of normal channels of social media, so think of professionally like LinkedIn or Align, or I mean, there's a million of them out there, but let's just use any social platform as a starter.
Okay.
Spending your time on there, unless you're going to do it very intentionally, is probably a time suck. So I immediately look at the things that are a time suck and I get them off of my calendar. And so one of the things I do is I have a VA who is amazing. She has learned to write in my voice, but I also give her a cheat sheet of phrases that I give often, things that I would absolutely say to people, in words of encouragement, things that you would normally hear from me. There'd be very in alignment if I were going through my social media to say, hey, hello, or a happy birthday to each person on my list. And so she actually goes in a couple hours a day and she spends time doing a direct message in my inbox to people whose it's their birthday, because Facebook shows us that, right? Same with Instagram. And then it's a very personal message from me, but she's doing the work because I don't have time to go sit in that inbox. And when it comes to my page, there's obviously groups that I am very hands-on with, like the Breasties, because I sit on their board, as well as my own clients and my own close friends and family. They have a list of those accounts. They make sure they give those a lot of love, likes, comments, the whole thing. And this is one way that I am able to stay virtually connected, because if they DM me back from those messages, I will go in and answer those, but I'm not doing the first part of that work. So that's saving me 2 to 3 hours a day, right off the top of my list.
Good idea.
By delegating that work out that is still meaningful for me, that I still want to do, because I still want to be able to engage with people on my platform, but I don't necessarily have the time to individually go in there and do that myself on each and everything. So that's one way, right? So I'm looking for the ways that I can save myself some time, but still have the intention and the energy of what I'm going to do behind it. Gotcha. So delegating is definitely one of those big things. The other one is my calls are all screened. So for example, if you want to book a call with me, Casey, then you're going to go to my calendar and it's going to ask you a few questions. So my team is also going to look through those. And if you're not the right fit, if you're just someone that's like, oh, I want to network, I want to show you better networking, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not interested.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just not interested. And so my team will come back and clean those out for me and be like, yeah, that's not quite going to be the thing that we want to participate in. And so it's spending that time, again, very intentionally in what relationships am I having conversations with? What relationships am I opening up to? What do I want to fill my white space with? When I do have a good friend that calls me and says, hey, I'm sponsoring a wine tasting festival this weekend and we want to put you on the stage, will you go? I want to have the white space to go. I have time to talk to you and let's figure this out. And if that's a great opportunity, then I will make the space. I'll already have it that exists in my calendar for me to do it with you.
Wow. Those are some, so you must have a great team So that's got to be important to be able to lean on your team, or else why would you have them around?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And a good team is worth having, worth paying for, worth investing in, worth nurturing, because your team will really help carry you. And that's also one of the things I do on that first call when I meet someone is I say, let's figure out what kind of CEO you are. Because not every CEO is the same. Everyone comes in with their own set of skills. Some are great at telling people what to do, but they're not great themselves at follow through or implementation, or they might have an idea of how to do something, but not the actual wherewithal to know how to go all the way through to take that ball to the end. So it's figuring out, are you more of a coach in your business? Are you are you like a quarterback, which someone who can actually take the ball over the line, but really relies on a team to take it over the line most of the time,
Yeah.
right? There's so many different kinds of variations of what a CEO can be. And that's once you know what kind of CEO you are, then you know what kind of team to surround yourself with. Because some people need more support than others. Some
Right.
people need to be told what to do versus telling people what to do. And other people really aren't a great fit for running their business at the end of the day. They need to bring in someone else to do that so that they can be great at their magic, whether it's just being the advisory board for what they know they want to do and the vision they want out, or if they have a specific skill, like maybe they are a salesperson or a writer or a marketer, and they just need to really be able to focus on those specific things that they do.
Gotcha. Wow. You can see why you're so successful. I mean, you there's so many. I could see how you're. There's so many different things that go into every decision, and working with each client. I like you're saying, they're not all the same, and
Right.
you gotta use that experience that you have. And I guess that's why you're in such high demand. Pretty awesome, Mr. Producer. Do we have time for a question? We do. Okay, Mr. Producer got a question from the instant feedback for
Awesome.
Mary D.
We have Sue in Wyoming wants to know, is there such thing as investing too much time into work?
Oh, 100%. 100% there is. If you are an entrepreneur, my guess is that you're investing way more time into your business than you ever did into a job. That is almost always the truth. The other one is going to be if you are someone who's ambitious and or you feel a high sense of ownership or responsibility around your role, you probably are a hard worker and you might be taking work home and not necessarily logging it, or you might be going above and beyond the hours and time that are put into your job. My encouragement for you would be vocal with the people in your circle, especially if someone else is paying you. Be vocal with them about how much time it actually is taking to do your job. Because oftentimes, especially if a manager has not done the job of their people or doesn't really understand what their people are doing on the front line, they don't have a great gauge for the work it's actually taking
I see.
or what actually needs to be done. If you are a customer service person and when you got hired, you were only taking 20 calls a day, then that was normal.
Yeah.
But let's pretend that the market has changed and now you're taking 80 calls a day, right? At some point, if they didn't hire an additional person, you're going to start feeling really underwater. But your manager just may not be aware because they're so busy growing what they're growing and doing what they're doing on the management side that they're missing the mark on some of those things. And I think that's the problem is oftentimes we think that our managers or the person that hired us is supposed to know everything that's going on. And in an ideal world, that would be great. It would be
Yeah.
great to have visibility on everything. But the truth is that just doesn't happen.
Right.
So how can you manage up in those situations? And that would be in being vocal and saying, hey, this is too much. And I need to say no to some of this work because it is too much. How do you one of the exercises we went through today, which I think is super beneficial, and I'll share it with you guys here
Okay.
because I think all of you would love this, is in a different life, what would you choose if money weren't an object? So the example that I gave is in a different life, I would have chosen to finish my music through, I had a music scholarship. So I would have taken that music scholarship all the way and I would have pursued music. That's my kind of high level if money weren't an object. But at the time I made a different decision because I didn't know anyone in music and I didn't understand how I would make money in music. And so I didn't go that route.
Okay.
But I still love music. It's still such a big part of who I am and what I love. So instead of saying, well, I'm not touching music because it couldn't be the thing that brought me money, what I did is I said, no, how do we still integrate music? I clearly love music. So how do I still make it part of my life? If you come to my house, I have a karaoke machine. We call it the Marioke machine. If we are going out, I'm probably picking someplace that has karaoke.
Nice.
I am, always have the music on in my house. It's just a big part of what I am. I've helped write music for some of my friends. And then there's my future goal here is to cut a fun cover album for my mom because she loves to hear me sing. And I thought, oh, then she'll have something all the time, right?
Awesome.
So these are the fun ways that we hang on to those really great things that we're not sure how they're going to make us money or do a thing, but they fill our cup.
Yeah.
So if your work is sucking the life out of you, but it's taking up all your time so that you don't have time to play out these other scenarios for yourself of how you can still feel fulfilled in these other things, then you're constantly living this life-sucking job. And of course, eventually that all runs out. It runs out on you mentally, emotionally, and through your physically, definitely through your health.
Yeah.
So say no, just say no more. And that's really it. It's communicating that and saying no to those things that don't fill you up while you're leaving space for the things that are great, that can come and fulfill you and can come and, again, very intentionally show up for you in a way of surprise and delight that you might not have realized or could have even envisioned for yourself that it could happen this way.
Mm-hmm.
But by you making the space for it and by saying no to the things that you don't want, you actually are energetically saying yes to the things you do want more of.
It's such a great topic. I'm glad you explained that one to us today, because I'm sure everyone is like, yeah, I gotta remember that one. I think everyone is making notes. Say no more often, because it just makes so much sense. Do we have time for one more? Okay, we got one more question. With the great Mary D. Mary D, what's I know you're working with all your clients and things are going great. Anything coming up in the future that we should know about? Any speaking gigs? Are you booked up? Are you taking slots? What's going on?
Absolutely. My year is looking fantastic. And it's, again, full of surprise and delight. I have the Abundance Amplifier that is coming up in October. That's October 16th through the 21st in Houston, Texas. Actually out on the lake right outside of Houston. But you guys, it's literally the words abundanceamplifier.com. You can go there and check it out. If a biohacker, artist, and entrepreneurs had a baby, this is where they would come. It's going to have vibes that heal both physically and musically, along with
of
making
course, it's got to be
connections.
music. You're there, so yeah.
Of course, yes. And then along with making connections to get you to the next level where you want to be in your life, in your work, and your life's work. So I encourage people to come join us there. For nonprofit wise, the Breasties is having their annual gala in New York. That'll be also in October. I don't have dates on that yet, but you guys can stay tuned to maryd.com and I'll be happy to let you guys know when those dates are released. But for those of you that might want to sponsor or you want to come have some fun and join a good cause, come to our silent auction, do all the things. It's a fun night out. It's a black tie event. And it's in the great state of New York. Good old New York City. We'll have some fun there. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Mary D, another great show, great topic. Thank you so much for coming on. Anything you want to leave the audience with? I can't wait to hear what you have to say next. Thank you, and thank you for everyone who wrote in. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody, but Mary D, you have the floor here in conclusion.
Hey, I wish you all love, abundance. I wish you the courage and confidence to say no when no feels good for you so that you can get more yeses for what does feel good for you. Again, maryd.com. Look forward to staying in touch with you all. And Casey, thank you always for being a great host.
You're the best. Mary D, everybody, and we'll be right back. Thank you, Mary.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.